Welcome to episode 32 of The Graveyard Shift, and our very first episode of 2018. Well, our first regular episode anyway. I don't count our 2017 review episode, and neither should you. In case this is your first time listening to the show, here's what it's all about. Each week, we watch a movie from the horror category and break it down into the good, the bad, and sometimes the downright confusing bits. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and anything else about the film that we felt was fun or relevant. And yes, I said we. Please say hello to someone who feels like he is going through a case of Arctic isolation, my co-host and producer extraordinaire, Mike.
Hey, hi.
Mike, here we are again. Are you ready for a whole new year of horror movies?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's good, because I certainly am, and I cannot wait to talk about this one, so why don't you tell everyone what this week's episode is?
We kick off this year with tonight's episode, which I've titled, That Thing You Do, because we watched The Thing from Another World. Bum, bum, bum.
Yes, now, usually the movies we cover on the show are ones that the ones that were picked by you wonderful people, actually, whether it was done on our Twitter or Facebook pages or by email. In some cases, some people at work that follow our show just come by and said, hey, you guys should watch this movie. But since this is our first movie of the year, and last year we didn't get a lot of movies from the 50s and 60s, except for The Beast of Hollow Mountain, Mike.
That was an executive decision.
Yes. Also, it's...
And considering we got a skit of you doing like a cheesy Speedy Gonzalez accent, I will say it was worth it.
Okay, sure. And also, it's January. Mike is in Ottawa, which since December has been getting nailed with some really cold weather. And
like coldest capital city on the fucking planet weather.
Yeah. And this movie takes place in the Arctic, so it just seems fitting. So we decided to just do our own pick to start it off with. You know, we'll get to your picks later on. So before we defrost this one, here is some info on The Thing from Another World. It was released on April 27th, 1951. It's an American black and white sci-fi horror film by Winchester Pictures Corporation. It has a runtime of 87 minutes, had a budget of $1.6 million, which was actually pretty big for the time, and saw a box office return of approximately $1.95 million.
What? That's pretty close.
Yeah, it's not a huge profit. I mean, you know, it didn't double its budget or anything like that, but that is actually higher than another sci-fi movie that came out the same year, and that was The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is considered one of the best science fiction movies ever. So it's actually pretty impressive when you consider it that way. Of course, this movie is based off a 1938 book called Who Goes There? Had a remake in 1982 by John Carpenter, and that remake had a prequel in 2011. So it definitely obviously had some influence on some of our more modern filmmakers. And as speaking of that, we're going to be doing something soon with the remake and the prequel, because John Carpenter's remake is arguably my favorite horror movie of all time. And the prequel, well, it exists. So The Thing from Another World has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 88% from critics and has a 73% audience score. So all in all, not bad. Now, as for the plot, a U.S. Air Force crew and scientists find a crashed flying saucer and a body frozen in the Arctic ice. While returning to their remote research outpost with the humanoid body in a block of ice, they are forced to defend themselves when it's accidentally revived. Okay, and there is a little bit of controversy surrounding this movie, and that is centered around who actually directed it. The director that's credited is Christian. Probably going to say this wrong. Is it Nyboy or Nibi? I don't know how to pronounce that word. It's Nyby.
Nyby, the horror guy.
So he gets credit for directing it, but several people that worked on this movie say that Howard Hawks, the screenplay writer and producer, actually directed the majority of the film. Both are big names in the directing world in their own right, but Hawks certainly had to be the more well-known. Probably his biggest movie before this one, if you want to consider this one. He directed the original Scarface in 1932, the film that the Al Pacino Scarface is based on.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Wait, wasn't that Scarface about Al Capone?
The original one, the 1932 one, or the 1980s one?
Yeah. Capone was called Scarface. That was his nickname. So wouldn't the movie Scarface be based on him?
I don't think so.
Because the Pacino Scarface, it was predominantly based on the Cuban invasion of the late 70s when Castro sent his criminals to the American shores. That wasn't an issue back then in the 30s. So
yeah. Oh no, I know, but I think they may have based it around the same type of story, but they didn't use this. I don't think they used Capone's name. It was just probably influenced by him. But yeah, you know what? Until I was doing the research on this movie, I didn't even know that Scarface was a remake.
It is. The story of 1932 is based on Armitage Trail's 1929 novel of the same name, which is based on the rise and fall of Al Capone.
Cool. Okay, so they just changed the names probably for legal reasons.
But it says this film was the basis for the 1983 one starring Al Pacino, which had nothing to do with Scarface, which had nothing to do with Al Capone. This is so confusing.
So yeah, at the time that was his biggest movie, and so he was kind of like the big name for the production company that made this movie. So his influence is pretty strongly felt.
And we got the same. I'm getting a Toby Hooper vibe.
Yeah.
From this whole situation.
Yeah.
But instead of Christian Nibby being, basically staggering around set on cocaine. This is the 50s, so he was just in his office wiped out on barbiturates.
Okay, so interesting. I'd like to know what exactly happened there. But in any case, here's what we do. We break down the movie into the good and the bad, basically what we liked and didn't like about it. Remember, this is just our personal opinions. We are not professional movie critics or anything, so if you disagree with our thoughts, good. Let us know what you think of the film and our opinions, and we will tell you all the ways you can do that at the end of the episode. Okay, Mike? So, first, the good. Why don't you start us off?
Excellent credits.
Ha!
I love the way that, throughout Christmas, I let everyone else get a stab at the credits, but, now the season for giving is over. I'm taking back what's mine. So, excellent credits. I love the way that this thing burns in with that thing, and we've got that wonderful musical sting. Bum, bum, bum. And it just kind of fades in from another world. Like, the alien aspect was an afterthought.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree, and the credits really stood out for this because you think of all the other movies that you've seen that come from this time period, from like the late 40s, early 50s. Every single thing you get for an opening title screen is just a flat title screen, just like they just hung a picture on the screen.
Some fade in.
Yeah, maybe some fade in. Sometimes not even that. Like sometimes it just the title screen just appears. This must have been I'm not even sure if it was animated, but you know what I mean. It must have been the first very stylized.
Real, they burned, they just laid some fuel down and then they set some paper on fire.
Yeah, it was.
However they achieved it, it was great
for the time. That must have been quite the feat. It right now it still looks amazing. So absolutely, I agree with you 100%. My only note here is Mike is going to love this opening credit scene.
And Sheldon was right.
Uh-huh. Okay, so one of the first things I had to write about what's good about this movie is the dialogue. It's one of the best examples of good dialogue, at least from this era of films.
Oh, there's so many movies with bad
especially during
dialogue.
this time. Like, they didn't even, like, movies were a very common thing for about, I want to say, like, speaking movies now for about close to 30 years at this point. They still really didn't have, like, good dialogue down pat. But holy crap, this one, it was so good. One of the best examples of dialogue writing from this era of films. It felt very natural. The characters' speech overlap each other's, so it really felt... It's more like the way people actually talk in real life. And it's certainly a mark of Howard Hawks' work, because a lot of his films use the same method. Just fantastic use of dialogue. Apparently, it was a task for some of the actors to get it down pat, but in the end, they nailed it, and it really pays off. Okay, so let's keep rolling with the good. What else you got?
I'll say it again. Chilling music throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just apropos for an Arctic isolation horror. Like when they're reading the Geiger counter and you can just hear that music building up. And when he's like, it's getting closer, and the music just reaches a crescendo. I felt in this movie.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, it's very well done. Just this really deep orchestrated music. And it just really drove it home. I loved it. So what I've got next on my list is just great storytelling. The concept is pretty simple and certainly nothing new, even for the 50s. But they still did a great job of creating a tense atmosphere and a sense of dread. Not only from, being stalked by the alien, but from the clashing of, like, the human characters. Like, they, once again, I mean, this is something that I'm not going to say that this was the first film to do it, but they did it really well. Was the clash of army versus scientists, and I mean that's a horror movie staple today. That these two types of people just can't get along.
Yeah, there's the soldier who wants to survive, and then there's the scientist who's just like, fuck surviving. Think about what we'll learn.
Yeah, which, I kind of understand your enthusiasm, but you're also not going to learn anything if you're dead, so...
Yeah, Paul Reiser had that same character in Aliens.
Exactly. Like, I mean, that's kind of like...
This guy was the prototype.
You can kind of see, like, the roots of Alien in this movie. Like, I think that's a pretty obvious comparison, but, like, I want to say it anyway. It's just so well done, like, the whole tense feeling of being stalked by this monster in such an isolated area. It's like, I mean, because if you escape, like, where do you escape to? You can, like, go outside and run, but, like, then you're just going to die from exposure, from hypothermia. So, yeah, it just... really well done. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Okay, so what else you got?
Well, one bit of dialogue after they screw up trying to liberate the UFO. They,
you mean when they blow it to pieces?
Oh, I'm going to get into details on that in a later section. But, yeah, they blow up the UFO because the U.S. military, even at their best, they're a bunch of fucking idiots. And they stumble upon this, that brings me to another point. Like, somehow, throughout this big snowy thing, they look down and see that there's something in the ice below them. It's covered in snow. I don't know how they can see it, but they do. And one of them says, how are we going to get this guy out of the ice? And then the newspaper guy, which is my spirit animal throughout this entire movie, is that reporter guy. And he says, well, you still got some more thermite left.
Yep.
Here's something else you can blow up. So yeah, that made me laugh. How do we get this thing out of the ice? Well, you can use more thermite.
Yeah, and that actually leads to what I had next on the list about the good parts of this movie. The subtle humor throughout. Whether it's one of the characters' response to another quoting like a ridiculously long catalog number. I can't even remember what was going on there now, but he says like, oh yeah, you mean 25B839.
He was reading something about how the U.S. military had debunked UFOs completely since there had been no proof throughout the decades.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, what was that article number again? And then the guy rattles it off for about a good 45 seconds.
And he just goes, oh yeah, that one. And the guy is like, without like even blinking, just like rattles off the whole like 62-digit number or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that one, and like that, and like you know your little quip, what you just said about about the thermite, and then another line that like just like I said, just subtle humor. Like one of the characters, I think it was Eddie, that says, "What if he can read our minds?" And his response, "Well, he'll be real mad when he gets to me." So little bits like that scattered throughout, and it's fucking great. Like I found, like I mean, there's no, it's kind of
excellent chemistry.
Exactly, it's kind of light humor compared to something that a movie that we've made today, but it just felt like it was like authentic 50s humor. I guess if that makes any sense.
Yeah, a little stoic and coy rather than like blunt and vulgar.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. There was a few scenes that actually made me chuckle a little bit. So, that's always a good thing. Okay, so moving right along. What else you got?
I love the flirty banter between the guy and I don't know their names. The guy and the receptionist for the doctor. How they're chatting a bit, and they imply that she left him in a compromising position after drinking him under the table, and then like swearing up and down, "No, I didn't throw any of my drinks away. You're just a lightweight." And like we found out that he had woke up in his underwear or something. He had to do like a walk of shame.
Right.
And then when we see them again, he's tied to a chair. And she's, what's she doing? Feeding him or taking notes or something? He's tied to a chair. He's handcuffed to a chair at one point. And I was just thinking, like, oh yeah, they were having drinks. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, drinks and bondage in a 50s movie. This is pretty fucking alright. And this is the first time I noticed this.
You think there was a lot of gasp in the audience of like when this movie premiered?
It's like, women consuming spirits? Heaven forfend.
Oh, well, I'm ever so offended.
I'm flustigated.
Oh.
And another thing I loved was the, basically what I call the flame fight, where they just shower this guy with kerosene at all angles after lighting him up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And for some reason they thought, kill the lights. I guess they figured since he's going to be on fire, he'll be easy to see. But, never mind the fact that you're going to trip over each other.
Yeah, that was a weird move to turn the lights out. Let's set this huge hulking beast on fire and then turn the lights out, because that'll make it more fun.
They did it so that we couldn't see that this guy was wearing practically a flame-retardant tarp. Mm-hmm. And the greenhouse scene, what I loved about that is that if this movie was remade today, like not the faithful rendition of the book, but the takeoff, that greenhouse would definitely have pot in it.
Oh, definitely. For sure.
And do you have any more likes?
I certainly do. Some of the scenes had such great imagery that you'll notice, I'm not sure when the last time you watched John Carpenter's version of The Thing, but a lot of the scenes got recreated pretty faithfully in the remake. just because it was such epic shots. Like, for one, the character circling the buried UFO, the burning creature crashing through the wall and diving into the snow, and another one, something else was recreated, but you know what? I'm going to wait until you watch John Carpenter's version again, and you'll see how something got recreated that was practically identical to this one. And it was such a nice little nod. And finally, I'm going to end off my list with the final ominous line in the movie. It was just fantastic. Actually gave me a little shiver first time I heard it. Every one of you listening to my voice, tell the world, tell this to everybody, wherever they are. Watch the skies, everywhere. Keep looking, keep watching the skies. That's absolutely classic. And it's been parodied so many times.
It's iconic. That's why.
For sure, definitely.
That was my final like. I was saving it for the end because I thought it was a great way to punctuate it, and then you come along and nail it.
Sheldon for the steal.
I just love that. You know, the implication that there could have been a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say, like a war between worlds that would come out maybe in about 7 years or so, and in color. That would have been such a match. That would have been such a great tie-in.
Would have.
It turns out that like the Martians sent like one of their abominations,
like a scout or something, some kind of like something they grew in a lab or something like that.
Well, yeah, he can easily repopulate. So
yeah,
the only thing that they fucked up was that Earth has like cold polar regions, and then I guess Mars doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So they were just like, what the fuck? Like how it's. There's like a cold spot on Earth? What the fuck? It's closer to the sun. That doesn't make sense. We could not have anticipated this.
Yeah, but this that
Our
line,
plant monster failed.
That line, "Keep watching the skies," I've heard that so many times. Like, so many people in TV shows and movies have quoted it. Just that part. Even The Simpsons mentioned it once. I think it was the monorail episode with Leonard Nimoy. Because
wait, Leonard Nimoy was in the monorail episode?
Yeah.
Was he as Leonard Nimoy,
yep,
or was he as someone else?
Because he was there for the maiden voyage of the monorail.
Huh.
Because he did the ribbon cutting ceremony. He did the ribbon cut, and Mayor Quimby says to him, "Was like, thank you, Leonard Nimoy." And I think he says something about, "I think everyone here shares my sentiments when I say, may the force be with you." And Nimoy goes, "You have no idea who I am, do you?" And he goes, and Quimby goes, "Oh, weren't you one of the little rascals?"
Oh man, I need to rewatch the monorail
And at the
episode.
end, he's doing like a little monologue at the end, and he says something. He says like he's doing his monologue at the end, and he said, "And remember, keep watching the skies."
Yeah, even Weird Al took that line from I think it was like Slime Creatures from Outer Space in his Weird Al in 3D. One of the ending lines is, "And always watch the skies. Look out, here comes the slime creatures from outer space."
Yeah, like, it's like you said, it's just iconic. Like, it's just one of these things. I think even people that haven't watched this movie, have no idea where the line comes from, will even use use those words. So that's all I have for the good. Do you have anything else?
I'm out.
Okay, so I know this is tough, but let's do it. Let's talk about the bad. And since you started off with the good, I'll take the lead on the bad, if you don't mind.
Yeah, by all means.
Okay. First thing I have on my list is that they really deviated from the book Who Goes There. The book was actually a much better and frightening story. I understand that at the time they suffered from technical limitations and they probably did the best they could with what was available. Unfortunately, this meant it would be more than 30 years before we get a more faithful book-to-film adaptation.
I gotta call that into question because in the 50s, we got the invasion of the body snatchers.
True.
And that was shape-shifting, impersonating aliens
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done it in another way, except that, like, they seem to just... I don't know if they thought people just wouldn't like
They
that.
didn't even need... They wouldn't even need special effects.
No.
You could just show one person and then have the camera turn to the other person who looks on in horror and shock, and then when the camera turns back, then you find that this is like wearing the same clothes, but it's a different actor.
Yeah.
Boom! You've
There
just
you go.
instantly implied, for free, that this thing has shape-shifting
But
powers.
then someone along the way decided that it would be better if they made some kind of, like, hulking, lumbering beast that's some kind of vegetable spaceman.
I think I have the answer to this.
Okay, let's hear it.
Communism.
Oh, there you go. That's it.
The idea that anybody next to you could be the enemy. That there'd be no way to tell, no visible giveaway, no tells. That you just have no idea if the person beside you is a traitor willing to undo your nation's secrets.
Mm-hmm. No. Okay,
So
there
they
you go.
thought that the implication of that would cause a fucking panic. That, I mean, think about it. This is only like 20 years, or yeah, less than about like 15 years or so since Orson Welles shocked the fuck out of everybody by putting on a radio play, which he announced at the beginning, this is a radio play. And he had commercial breaks in between, and people still just thought, it's a dadgum alien invasion! Get the shotgun and shoot the fuck out of anything!
That's like if you, like, you turned on an episode of The X-Files, and it had already started, so you didn't see the theme song at the beginning, so you thought it was a documentary.
Yeah. So I think that's when they realized that anything that plays on a psychological level, this guy realized Americans aren't ready to be engaged psychologically. I mean, they haven't even adopted the metric system yet. like their minds are still growing. If they haven't peaked and they're just, limited.
Yeah.
So they couldn't handle the implication of a shape-shifting alien.
Right. So I've only got one more thing that I can say that I didn't like about this movie. And that is, and I got a feeling because of something you mentioned earlier, you may disagree with me, but that's okay. This certainly won't be the first time that's happened. I think there's a little too much time spent on the romantic subplot between Captain Henry and Nikki. Really,
I agree.
Not necessary. It, besides like a little chuckle about, the use of the drunken bondage scene, it really added nothing to the film. Luckily, the film is not long anyway, so it's really not a big loss, but that could have been cut out. I mean,
yeah, we could have seen the alien do something else.
yes, could have had a couple extra scenes with the alien, because he didn't get a whole lot of screen time in this. And, yeah, like, the movie would not have suffered if that whole, even her character, was completely taken out. The movie would not have suffered for it. Like, you wouldn't have felt any type of loss. In fact,
yeah, it was just typical 50s. We need a love story because, again, American simplicity.
Yeah,
you gotta stick to the formula, and you gotta give people what they're familiar with. Otherwise, they might start getting scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta have a lady character there for the hero to be attracted to.
Yeah, she can't be her own person, do her own thing. She can't face the monster in her own way, which is really why Night of the Comet was such a welcome change, because we had the lady who was kicking ass. We had ladies who were kicking ass.
Absolutely. Yeah, or even, like I said, her character wasn't necessary, or at least, like, had her, like, be part of the team, not just, like, a love interest. Like, just have her another person that's in, like, this survival situation.
She only exists to be kissed.
Yeah, pretty much. Which, like you said, was typical of the 50s. I mean, like, I'd like to think we've come a long way when it comes to movie formulas since then. But yeah, even though it was typical of this era of movies, it still kind of bothered me even today. So Yeah, it just wasn't necessary, and I just didn't like it. Wasn't necessary, added nothing, could have did without it.
I agree.
So, what else do you have for the bad?
Okay, my bads are three quick ones. They did a poor job convincing me that anybody could see anything through all that white ice and snow. We look at it and it's white as fuck, and they talk about it like they're looking through glass. Like, oh, look at his fingers. Yeah, look at his eyes. Look at how long he is. He has to be like a solid 2.5 meters tall. And I'm like, you are standing on white powder. You are not seeing anything, you assholes.
Yeah.
And then, like, that kind of pissed me off. The second one is, they're talking about how it's 25 below, and not like the Canadian 25 below. This is like the sissy American 25 below. And even so, they left the dogs tied up in the snow while it's friggin' snowing. Not even like a cool, regular winter's day. This is like a bad winter's day. And they're leaving the dogs out in the fucking snow. Bad humans.
Yeah. Whereas,
There has to be a kennel or something inside. Like, they have to have some preparation for when the weather's bad, instead of like, well, fuck the dogs.
yeah, where's the SPCA in the 50s? Yeah, the only thing that's a good point, and I have one more thing, and I hope I'm not going to be stealing something from your list, but it always bothered me, and this is certainly not the first time that I'll bring this up about these alien invader type movies, but for somebody that's got such advanced technology, they really make the aliens dumb, don't they?
Oh yeah, first of all, he crashes his UFO.
He crashes, and then he's like gets frozen in the ice. He's just kind of stumbling about. Like, this is a guy that's capable of intergalactic flight, but he's just like kind of like stumbling about, like, oh, I'm going to get you humans, and I'm going to drink your blood. Ha ha ha.
Blah!
Yeah, like they made him like a big lumbering vegetable vampire.
And to show all of his sophisticated technology, when he terrorizes the humans at the end, his implement of destruction, not a ray gun, not a lightsaber, a fucking 2x4 he found on the ground.
Yep.
And he barely even uses it. When when the scientist goes to talk to him, like, I can be your friend. I know there's much we can learn from each other. I know that you're an intelligent being.
Whack.
The monster then swats him, but with his hand. Yep. He doesn't even bat him with the lumber.
He's just kind of out my way. Whack.
Huma talk too much. But he didn't even swat him with the 2x4. I mean, you've got the 2x4. Use the fucking 2x4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always found, and like I said,
it's Chekhov's 2x4.
I'm not even picking on this movie in particular. I'm talking about a lot of these like 40s, 50s alien invader movies. It's like, yeah, these aliens are such a big threat because of how advanced they are, but yet, toe to toe with humans, they're actually pretty dumb.
They're lummoxes.
And one thing I will say they did differently, but like we didn't actually see any type of we didn't see it in action. But you know how usually the big thing is like, oh, there's UFO that's impervious to Earth's defenses or weaponry. Well, yeah. This one, no, blew it up with some dynamite. Blew it to pieces, blew it to smithereens. And I just thought that was funny. I was like, wow. It was like, imagine if they like tried an invasion. And they just, you get a swarm of UFOs come by and they're doing their whole announcement. It's, take me to your leader. Or it's like, comply or you will be destroyed. And it's like someone tosses like a little stick of dynamite at him.
One Sherman tank comes along. Bam! Yeah. Bam! Bam! Oh, fuck, you wiped out our fleet!
Exactly. Like,
what is this armored technology? What is this amazing technology you use? We make metal fly with explosions.
Yeah, like I thought so. I guess that was kind of good and bad because I was like, oh, look at that! Like they blew it up with dynamite. At least that's something different because normally like these things would be totally impervious to anything that Earth has. But so that was a little different. But the whole like just the lumbering alien type of thing that's just kind of dumb is basically like Alien Frankenstein. It's I always thought that was just kind of just dumb. Like, they could have given some technology to use, I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Yeah, we there should have been some intelligence since they have fucking space travel.
Exactly.
The only thing that could justify this, and I see, every time we come up with something, I usually find some justification for it today. I seem to be in a forgiving mood, but here's my hypothesis. That he did not make he did not make or fly that thing at all. That he is some weird plant version of Sputnik, and he is Laika.
Oh.
He was just like their pet form of whatever race they are. He's just one of their little projects that they send into space to see if if their plant dogs can survive the rigors of space.
What you're saying is kind of like he's kind of like what would happen if I went for a drive in my car and took my dog, and I crashed my car and my dog got out and just like went on a rampage in the countryside somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he just like every time he like shook his fur, he laid like little spores for future doggos.
Well, fuck, that's what it looks like when my dog shakes, because she leaves like so many piles of fur around. It looks like when I'm growing a new dog. So.
Oh my god! Just think if dogs were asexual, that's how they would reproduce. They would just. And there you go, invasion of the doggy snatchers.
My stupid dog. I can brush my dog out like on a weekly basis. And each time I brush her out, I'll have like a full shopping bag full of dog hair.
Did you see that thing on Facebook where people are like making watches out of their animals' hair?
People do some fucking weird shit. I actually saw it today, like I don't know who posted it, but somebody had made a hat for their cat out of the cat's own fur.
Oh, it's better than that friggin' tongue thing where you can now you can lick your cat, and it's an emotional bonding experience. I'm like, you're licking your fucking cat with a plastic tongue.
See, shit like this, why aliens will never come to Earth anyway if they exist, because they're gonna see all this crazy shit and be like, no, these guys are weird. Don't mess with them, because they're obviously insane.
They'll be wondering, who's the dominant species? I mean, we see the pink bipeds operating vehicles, but then they basically worship these animals. I mean, who calls the shots here?
Yeah.
They don't know who to introduce themselves to.
These fucking vegetable aliens are going to be looking at us and be like, you see, this is what happens when mammals become like the dominant species.
Yeah.
So anyway, you said you had a couple more things that you didn't like about this movie?
This is why we wiped out the mammals.
There you go.
I'm all out of the bads. Like, my last bad, my note was just did he need a 2x4? I mean, consider this. He's also super fucking strong. His nails can shred dogs. I mean, a 2x4 ties up one of these death claws. He's actually weakening himself by carrying this thing. He's slowing down, and he's taking out one of his arms. Mm-hmm. He's actually crippled himself with this fucking thing.
Hey, if he's a plant, maybe he senses this thing is wood, and he thinks he's rescuing like one of his people or something. He thought he had him held hostage, so he's trying to carry him out of there.
Don't worry, pretty lady. I'll get you. I'll save you. He thinks this is his love story.
There you go. He's like, don't worry, we'll be. Don't worry. He's like, I'll get you back. I'll rebuild my ship, get you back to our planet. You can tie me to a chair. We can have a few drinks. It's all good. Okay.
Yeah. See if we can make a few saplings.
Okay. So.
I'm ready for my WTF.
Yeah, we started because of an episode we did a while ago that had a scene in the movie that totally baffled us. We could not believe what we saw. Besides the good and the bad, we decided that we need another category just so we can talk about these confusing, just holy shit type moments that we call the WTF. And
well, we're already cussing. It's the what the fuck.
It's the what the fuck. What the fuck did I just watch, basically? And
What the fuck were
I
they
didn't
thinking?
really have anything like that I thought. But Mike, you say that you had got a couple of things that you think fits the category, so let's have it.
Yeah, well, my first what the fuck is when they decide, let's put thermite on it, on the ice, to get the UFO. Because the UFO, it came in hot, melted the ice, sank down, then the ice froze over by the time they got there. That part makes sense. They've explained it. I'm happy so far. Here's where it starts to get weird. They decide to put thermite on it, and I'm not an expert on thermite, but I've seen it in action, and it is just an intense heat that will melt through an engine block. It'll take out the engine of a tank. It'll take out the treads. It just gets really hot, and it just sinks through everything. It's like a slow, unstopping heat. That's how thermite works. So when they're talking about using thermite charges to de-thaw the tank, the UFO, I'm just thinking, well, it's going to create a big pile of ice or evaporate some of it. So, this makes sense. And then the whole fucking thing explodes. And I'm like, okay, I know that if you pour hot water in a toilet bowl, like a rapid temperature shift will cause a bit of a fracture.
It sure will.
But this was a kaboom. Like, and I'm pretty sure thermite is not a bomb.
No, it just generates intense heat.
Yeah, because the idea of sending out 1,000 miniature suns in all directions around a crew and dogs might be a little reckless. And on top of that, you said the Geiger counter was going crazy because it was clicking and clacking. And so let's set off explosions on a radioactive object. What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned about the not throwing hot water in a toilet bowl. Well, a few years ago, a friend of mine, actually it was a coworker, he comes to work really pissed off because him and his wife, they woke up late for work. They're in a huge hurry, and because this was like mid-January, the windshield of his car was all frosted up. And so his wife got the brilliant idea to speed up the defrosting by boiling a kettle and going out and dumping it on the windshield of his car.
Makes sense.
And just smashed the hell out of it. It's just like completely like spider-webbed all over the place. Like it was.
Was that like those old glass windshields, or was it one of the plastic ones?
What's that?
Is that like one of the new plastic windshields or the old glass ones?
No, this was an older vehicle. Like it had to be like replaced. It's an old-fashioned glass one. It was cracked severely enough that he couldn't drive it to work.
Oh shit!
He couldn't drive this car until the windshield got replaced.
Yeah. So that basically this UFO was probably made out of ceramic or glass, which is a great alien alloy. Because it's gone.
Yeah, it's like I said,
it's just fucking gone.
It blew up pretty easily.
And my second what the fuck was the guy who thought out the alien.
Knew it. I knew it.
I've been ragging on Americans, and I'm going to keep doing it. This gung-ho G.I. Joe decides we're going to throw the only hot thing in the room on the ice block because he gives you scary nightmares by looking at him. He creeps you out, and you're so much of a puss you have to cover it up. You throw the hot thing in the room rather than everything else that's in there, or how about you just turn around? Because you have to keep this room cool. You're under orders to keep it cool. And then when the alien wakes up, and you're the first human being to make contact with it, instead of greeting it or thinking, I might be hungry, offering it a ration or something, your first impulse is to shoot at it. Typical American. And then runs out of the room, knocking over boxes and tripping. And then when he's telling the commander what's going on, he still has his gun pointed at the commander. He's not taking over. He's not attacking anybody. Just typical American. He cannot talk without holding onto his security gun. Wow. Did they send Gomer Pyle to the Arctic? I mean, again, they aren't on the metric system yet, so maybe this is just the American way.
My apologies to our American listeners. Mike's, he's a little crazy. Don't listen to him.
Right, metric system. Fuck us. So, and the final what the fuck is just a simple sentence. They braced a door that swings the other way.
They do. Yeah.
God bless America.
Okay, stop that.
Yep, I'm all out of WTFs now.
Yeah.
I think I've made my point.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that is The Thing from Another World. Everything we got to say about the movie, except for one thing. And Mike, I gotta say, I have no idea what you're gonna have for this segment.
Oh, you mean my kill of the week? Yeah, the pickings are pretty slim. We don't get to see the two guys who are killed off screen and apparently just hung out like blood bags.
Mm-hmm.
And in the nursery. We don't get to see the plant spores getting burned. The only thing we get to see die, we don't even get to see the silly scientist who's trying to communicate with the species that sees us as food.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, if you were a shepherd it's time to kill some sheep to feed the family, and one of the sheep came forward to you and he's like bleeding and blotting and he's trying to say in sheep talk, like, can't we all just get along? Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to be like listening to him thinking, I think this guy's trying to talk to me? Or you're just thinking, boy, this dinner sure is fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I'll be like, you're annoying me, so I'm going to kill you first.
Yeah. So this guy gets swatted out of the way, but then it turns out he's not dead. He just got a broken collarbone, and his pride is probably hurting as much as his neck is. So I guess by default, I mean, I'm not going to give it to the dogs. I mean, those dogs were pretty much abandoned by the humans as soon as they left them outside. So the kill pretty much has to go to the thing itself. After proving itself to be cold-proof, flame-proof, they realize that it is not animated electricity-proof.
That's right. So yeah.
And it just dissolves very much like the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm melting. Oh, what a world. What a world.
Who would have thought a tiny drop of moisture would land on me?
I know, most beings are 70% water. You'd think she would have dissolved from the inside out ages ago, but...
Yeah,
I mean, like, that lady has to stink if she can't take a bath.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Like, that, I think that's what I would have picked as well, because he definitely had the best death. Like, the only one of the few, is probably the only death you even saw, now that I think about it.
Yeah, the dogs get thrown around a bit, but...
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's all through the fog of, like, poor lighting and snow.
Yeah.
And then you just find, like, a body stashed, and then a guy's telling you, oh yeah, some people are dead. And off-screen kills are not going to get very far with me.
No. Yep, I don't give off-screen kills a pass, even in the 50s.
Nope, I mean, Nosferatu, he bit a few people.
Exactly. That was a good choice. So that's it, guys. That is The Thing from Another World. That's our full coverage. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Mike, so what would you say? Would you definitely recommend this to someone?
Oh yeah, it's an iconic movie. For all of my criticism, I think it's a very well done movie.
Yeah.
It's watchable, and it has a place in the horror pantheon.
Yeah, definitely. If you're looking for if you're into like the 1950s sci-fi horror, things like that, and you haven't seen this one, I definitely recommend. It is one of the better ones, so check it out for sure. So the only thing that I'm left wondering about this movie is the whole director controversy. I'd really like to know what happened there, like why some people say that it was Hawks that actually did the majority of the directing. and not the guy that actually got credit for it. Really would like to know how that played out.
Well, fortune smiles upon you, Sheldon.
Really?
Because we've been making a lot of friends. Some studios are sending us screeners for movies they want us to talk about and discuss. And other websites that shall remain nameless have also provided me with some interesting secretly recorded audio from discussions between Hawks and Naibai.
Really?
Yep, when on set they were recording and the sound guy didn't hear cut, so he just kept the thing going, and this little piece of audio has survived, and and now we will get a couple of answers on this week's The Return of It Came from the Cutting Room Floor. And cut. Great job, everyone. All right, let's set up for the next scene.
Hiya, Chris. How you doing?
Howard, good to see you. What brings you down to the set?
Well, I am the producer of this picture, aren't I? I just came to see how things are going.
Oh, it's going great. We just finished up the scene where the team finds the UFO on the ice.
Ah, yes, great. But here's an idea, see? Let's shoot it again, but have all the characters circle the UFO so we can see that it's big, and a circle.
Well, we mention the size and say that it's saucer-shaped, so...
Yeah, that's swell, but moviegoers today need to see things as well as hear them in order to understand. It's the dumbing down of America, I tell ya. It's an epidemic. But if we want these idiots money, then we have to cater to them, see?
Okay, if you think that'll work, we can reshoot the scene.
Attaboy. While we're at it, let's talk about the dialogue.
What's wrong with the dialogue?
It's fine for our first attempt, but we need to speed it up and have the lines overlap each other and make it sound more real. People cut off people when they're talking real life. We should do it in the pictures too.
Look, I know that's your style and you do it well.
Then it's agreed. We'll reshoot the scenes you've done so far to have any lines in them.
No, I didn't agree to...
And another thing. I know the creature is some kind of shape-shifty whatchamacallit in the book, but I don't think the audience will relate to that. Let's make it some kind of space vegetable. Like some kind of monster that's like a scary intergalactic carrot. That's the ticket. We'll get the wardrobe department to whip up some kind of...
No, that's it. Enough. I refuse to work like this. I know you're RKO Pictures Golden Goose, but I'm the director of this picture. Me, not you. Why would I let you take over like this and leave me out of it?
Well, because I can guarantee this will be a hit. You'll still get credit for being a director, and because of its success, you'll have your pick to direct any movie this studio has coming up for years to come. And you'll still get paid without having to do any of the work.
Okay, well... Here, you sit in the director's chair and take this cone shouty thing that we all use during this time period. I'll go get a drink and stand over there out of your way.
Ah, that's the spirit. Good kid, that Naibai or Nebi or whatever the hell his name is. Wow. So that's how it happened, huh? We've figured it out.
Wow, indeed. Mystery solved.
Gotta admit, I think I would take that offer. You know, someone said, hey, we're gonna put your name on this, you're gonna get all the credit for it. For directing this movie, you won't have to do any of the work, though, and then you'll make a name for yourself based upon its success. I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, you get your name up in glowing, burned-out lights on a marquee.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is just show up and, just enough to cause some suspicion when people start talking about how you're not there that much. Just show up there enough to cause some confusion.
Yeah.
And that's all you got to do.
Hey, man, if somebody came to me at my work and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to do all your work for you. You just kind of just chill and relax, do whatever. You'll still get all the credit for it and still get paid for your job. I just want to do all the work for you.
Just don't get high and, piss anybody off.
Yes. I'd be like, yep, okay, sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, I'll just be in the break room listening to podcasts.
So that's it, guys. That is The Thing from Another World. Hope you enjoyed it. We certainly did. And we want to know your thoughts on the movie. What do you think of the movie? What did you think of our opinions of it? Did we leave something out? Did you disagree with some of our comments? Whatever the case is, we want to know. You have a few ways to get in contact with us. First of all, you can do it the old-fashioned way. You can email us at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. And you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And if you're feeling a little bit in the generous mood, you can share some of your hard-earned dollars with us. Despite the fact you get to listen to the show for free, it's not free for us to produce. We actually, cost us a little bit of money for administration fees, production fees. You can help us out with those if you can by going to www.patreon.com/graveyard. For as little as $1 a month, you can do a lot to help out the show with some of those costs, and you get access to some exclusive Patreon content. Once a month, we post a Patreon-only episode. Just in December, we had a great Patreon episode where we got to watch a movie called Mercy Christmas. We got a free copy from the movies, from the people that made the movie. They sent it to us. They actually listened to the show and wanted to know our thoughts on the movie, wanted to cover it, so we thought it'd make a great Patreon episode. So go there and check that out. We got some good stuff. I would even say I don't want to say some of our better episodes, but we do the Patreon episodes in a little different way. We don't just talk about the good and the bad like we do with the regular episodes. Sometimes we'll go through a whole synopsis of the movie, and we just like to change things up a little bit. So check it out if you're interested in doing that. It's a very easy process. Of course, we understand if you don't have the money to give us money, you can still help us out a ton by going onto iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. In the long run, that's going to help out the show the most, because that really brings a lot of attention to us. If we get enough reviews, that iTunes will start featuring us. And you can review us on Facebook as well. A good Facebook review does a lot to help us out. And if none of those things are possible, then you can do what you're doing right now. You're listening to the podcast somehow, whether you've got the Podbean app or you're going directly to the Podbean website. You're listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play, whatever the case is. Just keep doing what you're doing. Share us on social media. Share us by word of mouth if you think you know someone that's interested.
Or you're listening to us on Voxia. What is that, Voxia or Prevox? What's that
Something
Spanish
like that.
one?
It's a Mexican podcast website, apparently, that we had no idea that we're on. We still don't have any idea how our episodes are getting there.
We don't know if that's a Podbean affiliate or if one of our Latino listeners is just like, I need to spread the word.
I'm assuming it's an affiliate. I checked it out. I didn't see anything like connected to Podbean, but I'm assuming that it's a Podbean affiliate, and that's how it gets shared there. But all I know is that we thought it was really funny when we discovered it. But hey, you know what? Whatever. We don't care. However people are sharing our episodes, go for it. You have our blessing. And that is it for us. Mike, if people want to hear more from you, how could they go about doing that?
Well, you can go to playingwithpowerpodcast.com and check out the episodes of the Playing with Power podcast, where me and my friends read Nintendo Power Magazine issues from the first to the last, from front to back. Not the official Nintendo podcast, because that's apparently a thing, and hopefully not a thing that will find out about us and crush us. But if so, that's why I've got the Graveyard Shift going. This is my parachute.
That's right. It's actually like a really good podcast. It was I listen to it regularly. I love it. If you're a fan of the old Nintendo Power magazines, if you had a subscription like I did, or something you heard about and you want to check it out, you can check out the show. Or even if you're just a fan of old Nintendo games, also check it out. Some pretty dark humor involved, but
yeah, we have the taste test, which is where we actually play the games from the 80s and 90s, mostly Nintendo games, but we will dabble in other things. And it's it's the first time that I got to do skits. So if you want to hear what my earliest skit work was like, and also we've had Sheldon on an episode or two.
Yeah,
and
I've made an appearance a couple times.
The latest one we covered was Darkwing Duck, which I think is one of our best skits ever. Mainly because we got Sheldon in it.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. You're going to want to be prepared. You've been warned. Like I said, it gets a little dank, but it's all good. And if you're looking for the podcast, you can actually visit our Twitter and Facebook page because we do share those episodes there. Because Mike does both podcasts, and we're good friends. We're all good friends, so we want to make sure we support each other. And so just check it out, and check out our feed, and you'll find the episodes there as well. So guys, thank you so much again for joining us, and we're really looking forward to doing another year of this. We've already got a lot of 2018 mapped out about what we're doing, so we're very excited. We can't wait to get back into the swing of things full time. And if you have any movie suggestions for us, keep them coming. We've got lots from you guys, and we really appreciate it. I think we've probably got a year's worth of movies already that we could cover. But don't let that stop you from sending more. Any movies you would like to have us covered on the show, let us know, and we will give you a little shout out if we use your suggestion. So keep a lookout for that. And we'll pick this up again next time. Until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
Thank you again for joining us on the Graveyard Shift. Well, because I can guarantee this will be a hit, you'll still get credit for being the director, and because of its success, you'll get your pick of any movie studio. Oh, fuck, fuckity, fuck.
3, 2.
Sorry, hold on.
You gotta get the laughs out.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, 3,
All right.
2, 1.
Well, because I can guarantee this will be a hit, you'll fuck your fucking face, fucker.
I will? You're doing a bad job convincing me to let you direct my movie.
I got Alzheimer's, see?
Who let the dotard on set?
Well, ain't this a fine kettle of fish? This is going to be the longest skit ever.
Ain't this a fine layer of amyloid plaque on my amygdala? Okay, 3.
Jeez, look at my eyes. I'm weeping like a dame over here.